What's up, everybody? Like I said, I study a lot of Neville Goddard, and I use a lot of critical thinking too, because you have to have a balance when it comes to spiritual things. You have to use your discernment, and so as I'm studying Neville Goddard, thinking about you know thinking about living in the end, you have to stay in the wish of the feeling fulfilled. And I had a question. Could this type of teaching, so I wrote a question like, could this type of teaching just be a con because snake oil salesmen can sell you some fake potion that claims it heals you? And many people say it really works because they were healed, but they were really healed from placebo effect. And so when I listen to Neville Goddard, a lot of it sounds like placebo effect. It's all about the mind. The mind can heal you. Some people have been healed from the mind, but some people have gotten worse thinking that their mind will heal them when they should have went to the doctor. And for example, I have a family member like that suffered a brain aneurysm because he depended on an external force, a spiritual being. He was a church-going person, and he believed that all he had to do was pray, and he didn't have to go to the doctor, and God was going to heal him. And he ended up suffering a stroke, a brain aneurysm, and he's suffering today from that because he didn't go to the hospital. He didn't go to the doctor. Well, Neville Goddard's teachings can be used in the same way. So as I asked the question, ChatGPT said, and by the way, when I asked this question, guess what time it was? 4:44. I took a screenshot of it right here. 4:44. That's confirmation that I asked the right question. I always see 444 a lot. I saw it earlier today too. Either I'm seeing 444 or I'm seeing 1111 all the time. But what ChatGPT said, it's a valid concern to question whether teachings like Neville Goddard's, because also the reason I asked this, because sometimes I use my discernment with Neville Goddard because he was charging for his lectures. Maybe not all his lectures he was charging, but some lectures he charged. And he sold books. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I'm saying if you got this power, why? If I claimed I had power like Neville Goddard claimed, I would not charge. Because I would leave no question to whether I'm a con man or not, to whether my teachings really work or not. I would make myself, I wouldn't charge, I would make myself rich so I wouldn't charge people. I would, Neville Goddard teaches that really everyone is us pushed out. Everyone is ourselves pushed out. So why not manifest a billionaire sending you all the money you ever need? Why not live in that wish fulfilled instead of taking poor people's money? Because it can be used as a snake oil salesman tactic. what he teaches. A lot of snake oil salesmen can use his teachings. That's what I'm telling you. A lot of sincere people can use it, and a lot of snake oil con men, salesmen can use his tactics also. So it says right here, it's a valid concern to question whether teachings like Neville Goddard's, which are based on metaphysical concepts and the power of imagination, could potentially function like placebo effects, or even be used by those with snake oil intentions. Here are a few points to consider when exploring this issue: the power of belief and the placebo effect. The placebo effect demonstrates that belief alone can have powerful impacts on people's well-being, especially in medical contexts. When people believe they are being healed, the body often responds positively, even if the treatment is inactive. Similarly, Neville Goddard's teachings emphasize that belief and assumption shape our reality. In his view, if you believe something strongly enough, it manifests in your outer world. Whether this is because of the metaphysical law or the mind's ability to influence outcomes, like the placebo effect. Belief undeniably plays a powerful role in human experience. So even if someone claims they succeeded because of these teachings, it's worth asking whether they succeeded because of some deeper change in belief, like the placebo, rather than metaphysical forces. Results vary from person to person. Exactly. Not everyone who practices these teachings experiences immediate or visible success. This variability raises the question of whether the success some people report is genuine, coincidental, or a result of their expectations. Some people may internalize positive changes, shift their mindset, or experience life improvements, while others might not see any change despite putting in the effort. The results being inconsistent can suggest that the teachings might not have universal applicability in the way they are often presented. That's big right there. The teachings might not have universal applicability in the way they are often presented. Because, and then it's convenient that if they don't work, it's your fault. And if they do work, it's because you're doing it right. You're thinking right. But if it don't work, it's because it's your fault. You're not thinking right. You don't really believe, all this and that, man. Personal responsibility versus external factors. One criticism of manifestation teachings is that they place a heavy emphasis on personal responsibility. If your life isn't working out, it's because of your thoughts, beliefs, or assumptions. This can sometimes feel like a self-blame trap for people who struggle despite trying hard. External factors like societal structures, they're just like, for instance, slaves. I wonder how this teachings would have went, Neville Goddard's teachings would have went with slaves, back in the 1800s. I don't care how positive you thought. I don't care if you lived in the end. A lot of y'all was never going to be free. A lot of the slaves was never going to be free. I don't care how much they lived in the end or they wanted their freedom or anything like that. Like that same thing with living in the end that you're a billionaire or a millionaire. or a rock star or an NBA player, just think about it. If you really believe in what Neville Goddard teaching, you feel you can be anything. You can do anything. You can't sing a lick. You can't sing a lick. You got 2 left feet, but you up here living in the end that you're some great R&B singer. You're some great rock singer. You're some great, and you going to sleep every night living in the end that you some great rock singer. And what Neville teaches us is that we have to keep living in that wish fulfilled. And one day we're going to be that rock singer. We're going to be that great star. Because nothing is impossible to God, right? Come on, man. So that's why you have to use your discernment and start thinking like, hold on. Good old-fashioned common sense. What happened to good old-fashioned common sense? Because the world was not built, most of society is not built based on Neville Goddard's teachings. People don't have to live in the end of the wish fulfilled. People have a goal. People have a vision. Companies have a vision. It starts with the individual. A person do have a vision, and he gets to work on that vision until he accomplishes it. It's not already accomplished until he accomplishes it. Then he don't have in his mindset it's already done. No, it's not already done. It ain't done till I'm done with it. That's the mindset a lot of people have. And they do just fine with it. Okay, let me go on. External factors like societal structures, economics, and luck also play significant roles in success, especially in business or career. These teachings often overlook these factors, focusing entirely on individual mindset, which can create unrealistic expectations. Yeah, just like I was just talking about, being a rock star when you slow bus shorty, you short bus shorty. And they did a TV show. They did like this little TV show too about that. They had some slow guy. This reality show or some type of show they had set up where they was making fun of this slow They had like a bunch of people, like hand-picked people, and they was using these people They was like what you call it when you exploiting these. Okay, it was exploiting these people. Okay, this person wanted to. I'm gonna take for example one person. This short bus shorty, like this guy was kind of special needs guy. He was like, he went to the short bus, and I mean he had special education, right? In school. He was one of the kids in the slow class. Special ed. He was one of the kids that was in special ed in school, right? And so this TV production was making fun of this guy, taking advantage of this guy's dream to be a rock star. So they was gonna mess with this guy's head, and they was gonna put him on stage. They put him on stage, and they brought in a fake crowd to cheer for him, to make him believe that he was actually a rock star, on his way to being a rock star. So the guy got on stage, couldn't sing a lick, but he thought in his mind, oh, he's the best rock star. He should be up there on the same level as Bruce Springsteen in his mind. And so they brought in a fake crowd and had this guy come on stage for like some talent show or whatever. And so he gets on there, he think he can sing. He starts singing and everybody starts cheering him on. So in his mind, he actually did it. Yeah, I am a rock star. I am a rock. He actually did it. But in reality, it was fake. It was a joke. They were clowning him. And he didn't know it. He thought it was real. You know, so, and I'm sure but in his head, he could have been practicing Neville Goddard's technique. Yes, I did it. I lived in the end. It came true. No, you're being clowned, bro. Like, they're making fun of you. Like that living in the end stuff, you have to be balanced and have common sense too. Like, you're gonna be waiting a long time. You think, I'm gonna manifest $1 billion. I'm gonna be the richest man in the world. You know, all this stuff. You're gonna be living in the end a very long time, and you ain't gonna see no results. A lot of y'all, most of y'all, are not gonna see no results. These teachings often overlook these factors, focusing entirely on individual mindset, which can create unrealistic expectations. Confirmation bias and selective success stories. Yep, Neville's big on this. In spiritual or self-help movements, success stories are often highlighted while failures are downplayed or ignored. I never heard of a Neville Goddard failed story. There's always some success story he's talking about, or he has an example. There's always some success story. Even with him, the success story he told about, he wanted to go to Barbados. And Abdullah told him, you already in Barbados. And months went by, but eventually what Abdullah said came true. He was sent, his brother sent for him to come to Barbados, and they paid for the ticket, and he got on first class and all that. Well, how many failed? I never heard of how many failed stories do Neville have where he stayed in the end and it never came to pass, where he lived in the end and his goal never became visible? How many of those stories do we hear? None. He only highlights the success stories. This creates confirmation bias, where people focus on the evidence that supports the teachings and ignore evidence that contradicts it. And, and I just like exactly, because when people start studying this stuff, now anything that good happens to them, let's say they get a check in the mail, they're gonna put that check, they're gonna blame, they're gonna say, oh, it's because of I manifested that check. Look, under the teachings of Neville, I got a check in the mail. I manifested that check, and that couldn't be the case at all. That don't mean that's true because you think you manifested a check because you're studying the law of assumption. That check could have been coming to you anyway, even if you didn't study law of assumption. People who achieve success through hard work, market conditions, or random events might attribute it to manifestation because that's the framework they've adopted. Right. It's like a brainwashing. However, this doesn't mean the teachings are the sole cause of their success. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because one year I wanted a porn site, and I started making a lot of money from getting sign-ups. I was an affiliate of Rude.com, and I started making a lot of money with Rude.com, getting people to sign up. Now, if I had been studying Neville at the time, I would have said, "Oh, I manifested that. Look what I did." But that wasn't the case. All I did was I always wanted a porn site. So didn't really have a vision. It was just something I always wanted to do. And all I did was find a way to promote it. And I started getting a lot of sign-ups. I didn't live in the inn. I didn't do all this and that, practice living in the inn, wish fulfilled. I just worked on promoting it, and I was a success because of it. And I made more money than I ever made in a long time. And that's how mostly the world works. You know, but if I had been practicing Neville, I probably would have said, "Oh man, this manifestation stuff working." So it goes back to what this says. However, this doesn't mean the teachings are the sole cause of their success. The role of psychological and emotional shifts. While metaphysical teachings like Goddard's may or may not have a direct impact on outer reality, may or may not, they can have a significant psychological and emotional benefits. The mindset shifts these teachings encourage, such as focusing on abundance, visualizing positive outcomes, or developing self-confidence. And I said this a long time ago. What Neville teaches is really about having self-confidence. I said that. But he never spoke the word self-confidence. He never talks about self-confidence. He talks around it, but it's basically, his teachings is basically telling you to be confident in yourself. Developing self-confidence can improve a person's emotional well-being and motivation. That's true. And this is why I'm a student of Neville Goddard. Because what he's teaching can help you. It can help your mindset. You know what I'm saying? If you need help, his teaching can get you on the right track, especially if you're lost in life. It can bring you back into focus and, believing in yourself. Can improve a person's emotional well-being and motivation. These psychological benefits can help people take better action in the real world, even if the metaphysical aspect isn't actually at play. So like I said, it goes back to being a snake. Can these teachings be used as a con game? As a con. Even if the medical physical aspect isn't actually at play, because you can't really prove if this thing is actually accurate, true or not, because it's all based on individual results. Even if the metaphysical aspect, because you can never prove that it's actually metaphysical. Everybody is different. Everybody is, I don't care how consistent you are, everybody is not going to make $100K a month on YouTube. People have different personalities. I don't care if a top YouTuber telling me, yo, you just got to be consistent. You just got to be consistent. That don't mean ish. Okay, well, You got 10 students. You telling 10 students you got to be, okay, let's see, maybe half of those students stayed consistent and they saw success. And another half stayed consistent and they didn't see success. Not one thing going to work for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But you focus on the students that has to, see, I told y'all. See, didn't I tell you? Just stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? But you don't acknowledge the people that stayed consistent and still failed. For example, if someone feels more confident because they've been visualizing success, they may take risks, seek opportunities, or handle challenges better, which leads to tangible results. The snake oil effect. There's always a risk of snake oil salesmen using metaphysical teachings like these to exploit people's desires for quick fixes. They may sell books, courses, or programs claiming that the teachings will guarantee success without any real basis or evidence to support it. And this is what a lot of coaches do. This is what a lot of metaphysical teachers do. Some that teach Neville Goddard's way of teaching. Abraham Hicks. Neville Goddard himself sold books. Sold classes, lectures. He did it himself. Is he a snake oil salesman? I don't know. I'm not in his heart. But like I said, if you truly can manifest, you wouldn't have to sell courses. You would manifest a billionaire. You would make a billionaire, some mystery billionaire, just send you money. Just to shut people like me up. And say, look, just to leave that no doubt that your teachings really work. You know. See, I don't need your money. Because if you really want to prove that you're really God, God don't need our money. You really got the power of God. The power of God doesn't need our money to survive, to do anything. You know, that's the real miracle. Do that miracle. Nobody's done it yet, though. They all needed money. Well, I don't think Jesus sold books. I don't think he charged people to teach them. He didn't say he charged. Now that's real power. They may sell books, courses, or programs. But like I said, I'm not saying that what Neville did is wrong for charging. I'm not saying that. I'm saying maybe he couldn't manifest quick enough. Maybe he couldn't manifest money. And he had to sell courses. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he couldn't manifest fast enough. Because he did say you never know when it's coming. You can live in the end, but you don't know when the results going to come. So that right there just take away a lot from his teachings. You know, it really takes his teaching. I mean, it really, okay. So in that case, it's just like wishful thinking then. If you want something, you living in the end, there should be a time limit on it. You should be like, okay, I want to manifest something in 10 days. I want to manifest something in a month. It shouldn't be, I want to manifest, I want to live in the end, but I don't know when it's going to come, when it's going to show up. But I just got to keep believing and keep living in the end, and one day it's going to show up. Come on, bro. Like, That's just really saying you don't know what you're talking about. And I heard them teach that a long time ago, and I'm like, what's the point then? What's the fucking point of even doing this, or learning this, if you never know when it's gonna show up? So it can be 5 years, and he gave an example. It took a man like 5 years he lived in the inn for 5 some years, and he finally got it. Come on, bro. Really? You might well just go back to doing what you do, or skipping this teaching and just have goal setting and set goals and believe in your goals and just work hard and visualize. They may sell books, courses, or programs claiming that the teachings will guarantee success without any real basis or evidence to support it. Some teachers might represent the idea that you only need to change your thoughts to succeed, which oversimplifies the complexities of life and business. Right. This can lead people to spend time and money on something that in the end may not deliver the promised results. The importance of discernment. It's important to approach teachings like these with discernment. While some principles may be helpful, such as cultivating a positive mindset or focusing on your goals, it's equally crucial to be aware of when something might be overpromising or oversimplifying the path to success. Not every success story is a result of metaphysical practices, and it's important to balance spiritual or mental practices with practical actions and realistic expectations, combining mindset with real-world effort. Rather than dismissing Neville Goddard's teaching as purely placebo, it can be helpful to see them as part of a holistic approach to life and success. You can combine the mindset and inner work with real-world effort, strategy, and adaptability. And that's what Neville Goddard doesn't teach. He only teaches on the mental part, but he don't really focus on the hard work you got to do in the real world. Yeah, it's cool to live in the inn. It's cool to assume the wish fulfilled, but you got to get out there and work too. You got to get out there and plan, visualize, work, because you got to get up in the morning. We got to get up in the morning. We got to go to work. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with people. Strategize on that. Mindset shifts can provide psychological resilience, emotional stability, and motivation, but without action, which you don't talk about enough, but without action, practical skills, right, you got to have skills too, man, and external opportunities, those inner changes might not lead to real world results. Conclusion. It's possible that some aspects of Neville Goddard's teachings work similarly to the placebo effect, where the power of belief creates positive outcomes. While there's value in cultivating a strong inner belief in your success, it's important to recognize that these teachings don't always account for external factors or individual circumstances. They're not necessarily a con, but they should be approached with awareness and balance. Success often requires both inner work, like cultivating the right mindset, and outer work, like taking action developing skills, and adapting to real-world challenges. The key is to stay open to what works for you. Should be capitalized and bold. You, while being critical of over-promised results. Great chat GPT. Great work. I love this. And chat GPT gave me a very critical analysis, a very balanced analysis, and they only gave me that balanced analysis because I asked the question, could this type of teaching just be a con? Because I had in my spirit, like, all this stuff, is only talking about the good stuff. Like, he only talk about the success stories. What do you do if Neville Goddard teachings fail you? Like, suppose I've been living in the inn for 5 years, but I still don't see the success I want in my business. And it says, examine your inner assumptions. Are there any limiting beliefs or doubts? See, blaming you. You don't believe. That's why you're not getting it. Here's why you don't believe. That might be subconsciously interfering with your efforts. It's not all about belief, because I was sold some fake Viagra before. I believe it was some real Viagra, but guess what? It didn't work. I believe, I had no doubt that wasn't Viagra. I had no doubt that wasn't real Viagra. I believed 100% that was Viagra. Took it, nothing happened. So obviously my belief didn't do anything. So you can't blame, you can't put it on, well, you don't believe. Ask yourself if you're truly embodying the feeling of having your desire already fulfilled, or if there is a sense of lack or impatience. Man, detachment from the outcome. Neville emphasizes the importance of detaching from the outcome after you set your intention. Why should I detach from the outcome? That don't work in the real world. I don't have to detach from the outcome. Neville emphasizes the importance of detaching from the outcome after you set your intention. If you're obsessively checking for results or feeling stressed about the timing, you might be undermining your manifestation. The act of letting go and trusting the process is key. It's like planting a seed and trusting it will grow. You don't need to keep digging it up to check its progress. Sometimes when you detach from the outcome, results manifest in unexpected ways. And sometimes when you detached, nothing happens. And you forget that you even had a desire. And you move on to something else. So detaching is not always a great thing either. You have to revisit it. I don't agree with detachment. If you're not, like I said, if you don't see success and where you want to be, I don't believe in detaching yourself from it. Work on it. Try to get help. Do the best you can. That's all you can do. The law of gestation. Neville often spoke about the gestation period. The idea that manifestations take time to unfold, just like seeds take time to grow into plants. The timing of your manifestation may not align with your expectations, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Keep in mind that your business or goal might have its own natural timeline. Sometimes what appears to be a delay is actually the universe aligning circumstances and opportunities in ways you can't yet see. This feels like he just wants you to wait. But I don't like that. I don't like just waiting for something good to happen for me. I like to make things happen. I like to feel like I'm making things happen. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to wait. Revisit your inner state. Over time, it's possible to slip into a routine and go through the motions of visualization without fully feeling it. You don't have to feel nothing. If you've been living in the inn for 5 years, but haven't seen results, it may be helpful to refresh your practice. Are you emotionally connected to the feeling of your success, or has the practice become mechanical? Reignite your passion for the vision and find ways to immerse yourself in the emotional state of success daily. How about working? How about working on your goal? That'll get you in that emotional state. But he don't talk about it. They don't talk about working. That's the problem. Neville don't stress about, look man, the world was built on vision and hard work. Like I said, you don't get the hard work part teaching. You don't get the hard work teachings from Neville. All you get is the vision, the mental part. But his teachings is unbalanced. That's why I'm having turmoil. That's why I be having so many contradictory thoughts in this man's teaching, because my soul is telling me it's not balanced. It's just thinking one way, and the mental is only thinking from the mental part of it. But you need the physical part of it also. You need action. You need to get up in the morning, network with people, take action also. People just telling you ain't got to do nothing. And a lot of Neville Goddard students just think they can be couch manifestors. They ain't got to take no action. A lot of them believe that. All they got to do, meditate all day on their couch, live in their imagination, and one day they going to get $1 million knocking on their door. Or they can just go to the mailbox. All they got to do is imagine going to the mailbox every day and getting $100,000 check. And that's what they do all day. Imagine themselves going to the mailbox. And when it don't work, oh man, this shit don't work, man. I must not be doing it right. No, what? That ain't gonna never work. And if it do work, it ain't no guarantee that's why it works, because you've been living in the inn. You could have had that check coming anyway. Now produce another one. If it really works, produce another one and another one and another one and another. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, come on, man. So you have to use your discernment and common sense. God give us all common sense. Well, some of us. He gave your brain. And just look at how Neville Goddard lived his life. The man didn't sit he didn't sit not doing nothing. He planned. You should copy what he did instead of what he say. What did he do? You should listen to what he say and look at what he did. How about that? You ain't got to copy it. Just listen to what he says. Listen to what he taught. And look at what he did. What did he do? He wrote books. Action. Took action. He took the time to plan lectures and seminars. Had to rent out buildings. Action. Yeah. spoke, lectured, and he did something that he was good at. You can learn from that. Are you doing something you good at? He did something that he was competent in. Teach. He did something that gave him magnetism. He was a magnet. He was attractive to people because they was attracted to him because they came to see him. So he did his job. And a lot of preachers do the same thing. They attract a large audience. They can be selling anything from products to houses to whatever, to snake oil, to the laws of power, to becoming a god. It's all the same thing. They're teaching you something, and they're attracting the crowd for it, and they're writing a book on it, and they getting paid from it. Come on, man. So was he really that special? Come on, bro. Seems like the teaching is unbalanced to me. That's why I've been doing it. I've been studying him for like 4 or 5 years now, and my life hasn't really changed that much. You got to be your own teacher. You got to look at things in a critical. You got to look at things critically. You can't just take what everybody say at heart like they perfect. No. Nobody, no man is perfect on this earth. And I'm through, man. I just always come back to the stuff Neville saw. So but that's it. Peace.